Hello walkers, and welcome to the Gallatin River Trail, where it is breezy. We're actually starting right across the river from the Lava Lake Trail. We are going to, I'm going to take you down on this walk. We're going to cross the highway here and hit the trail that goes right up that little slope if we can get across. It's a little perilous, but we'll see what we can do. So stick with me here until I can get across. Do a little dart and dash. There we go. Safe and sound. No risk is too high for you guys. My name is Henry, and I will be your proxy walker, your virtual travel guide on this virtual treadmill walk, this virtual walk today. The natural ambiance that I've been getting the last couple of walks is not probably going to be there because of all the cars, so bear with me. I'm also not able to get cell signal here, so I'm not going to be able to do the shout outs I was hoping to do on this walk, but I'll get to it the next walk. And it is early January. Happy New Year, everybody. And it's about 11 a.m., 39 degrees Fahrenheit. I think it's 4 degrees Celsius. Whew. And talking and running is not my strong suit. We are going to walk along the Gallatin River. I'll go over here and show you what it looks like along this trail. I've never actually been on this trail. I didn't even know about it until my wife, Traveling Mel, mentioned it. And so that's House Rock down there if you're interested. And this is a big whitewater rafting area, kayaking area. And it's on Highway 191 on the way to Big Sky Ski Resort and Mountain Village, that sort of thing. Also beyond that is West Yellowstone. So check those out. This is going to be a nice little nature trail, even if we do have some car traffic in the background sounds, and hopefully it won't spoil the nature track ambiance. I'm trying not to keyword stuffed with too many virtual treadmill scenery type keywords, but it does help me get found by people. This walk is, I think I said, we're going to be headed downstream alongside of Gallatin River in the Gallatin Canyon. An absolutely beautiful canyon if you've never been down here. Great fishing. Over the last 10 years, of course, the traffic on this road has gone way up. So it's not like it used to be, but it's still beautiful, and it's still a great place to come. Lots of trails off to the sides of the canyon here. I mentioned Lava Lake Trail. That's a great one. Excuse me. Probably not so much this time of year. I think it gets kind of icy, but there are a bunch of cars over there, so people must be hiking up there. We've got kind of a mixed sun, mixed clouds day today. I mentioned the wind roaring down the canyon. Not so bad right here, though. That's pretty nice. Gosh, I just love this mountain river. Over where I live, we have the Yellowstone River, of course, but it's more wide open where we tend to raft it, tend to float it. This is all very narrow until it gets out down to Gallatin Gateway area. Mentioned a lot of trails off to the side here for hiking, mountain biking, cross-country skiing. A lot of people snowmobile, and a lot of old logging roads. Look at this towering spire up there. That is not Storm Castle. That's another hike I'm going to try and do in the summer. A couple of them. One is Storm Castle, and across it's a side canyon up there, and you go up to this peak. It's a nice hike, and then next across the little creek drainage is Mount Lookout, and there's a fire lookout up there that you can actually rent as a Forest Service cabin, which is really cool. And there's 2 trails up there. One, the shorter version, which is probably what I'll do when I film it, is next to this neat mountain lake called Rat Lake. But that's for the summer. For now, I have had and been putting off a request by Tom Seeley to explain how I ended up in Montana, because I was not born here, unlike my kids who were. And it's kind of a long story, so I'll just go ahead and get started. First of all, guys, I am going to try and remember to do a secret word. I'm not entirely sure I'll remember, and I will give out shout outs as soon as I can get access to the document on my phone to pass secret words. I'm also going to have to find the trail here. So anyway, give us a subscription if you don't mind. Click that subscribe button if you want to see more of these. And also, if you would, this looks like it's an old bridge abutment. And I can't tell where the trail goes. It goes up there, or it goes down here. Or maybe it goes up there. Well, we'll have to do a little exploring. Bear with me as I jibber jabber away. This must be the old road. You can see the highway across the road there. It's a big, high water in the spring. A lot of people love to kayak this. They'll kayak down and hitchhike back. They'll go down further, of course. Not really sure where this trail goes. I guess we'll go this way. See where it heads. Hopefully it's not too perilous. We're not going to do the whole trail up here because I think it's 2.5 miles long, and we just don't have time for that today. Oh, I like this trail. And surprisingly, I can't hear too much of the traffic, but I digress. So, actually, although I wasn't born in Montana, I did move out here when I was 1 year old. I was born in Cincinnati. We moved out to Missoula originally in the 70s, and then out to a log house, old log house on a ranch that my parents' friends owned near Ovando, Montana. I think I mentioned that in the Seeley Lake hike, Seeley Lake walk, virtual hike. We lived out there until I was about 7. Then we moved away back east to North Carolina on the coast in Wilmington. I'd love to get back there to do some filming. And then back to Cincinnati for a little while. And then in 1990, I want to say 6 or 7, I moved to Bozeman with some friends and a cousin. And I lived there for a summer, but it was not the popular destination that it is now back then. And it was hard to, as a young guy, to start a career unless you were into construction or ranching or working at the university. The economy was and continues to be tough out here if you don't come with a bunch of money already or a job. So I ended up moving away after about a summer down to Denver, then to Northern Virginia, but I always kind of wanted to come back, and I found a film program at Montana State University in Bozeman. I was looking for a place, a smaller city than the DC area, to live. It was just too many people with different priorities. And so I found this film program out here, and it kind of checked just a lot of boxes for me. And so I committed. I asked my company if I could work remotely while I moved, and they said yes. Then they realized I wasn't moving across town, I was moving to Montana. But I was able to negotiate staying with that for a while, and I took some undergrad classes out here to help burnish my scientific background, because it was a science and natural history film program, a master's program. Got into that, met my wife, and it's the best decision I ever made. So I ended up out here in 2003 and bought a place in Bozeman, met my wife, and before we got married she moved over to Livingston, and then when we got married I followed her. Right as I was in that grad program, graduated from there, started another business with a guy that we were filming fly fishing stuff. Started a website called theweeklyfly.com with instructional fly tying videos. That's still up, although I haven't filmed any new videos in a while for that. I did just redo the website. So that was a lot of fun, learned a lot. And then in 2016, I started another production company after we realized there wasn't as much money in fly fishing as we had hoped. Although we did get to go down to Argentina for a couple months. Started a production company called Distill Productions that was doing marketing, video marketing, and worked with, prior to that, worked with Polar Bears International and filmed polar bears and World Wildlife Fund Canada and a bunch of other great nonprofits and American Prairie Reserve. Anyway, in 2016, everybody in the company kind of wanted to go our own ways. So we did, and traveling Mel and I decided to sell our house and take our two boys and travel around Europe for a year. Amazing experience. We did that. Kind of wish we'd held on to the house at this point. But, and you know, did like 13 or 14 countries in 12 months, spending a month or so in each place, a couple little side trips. Look at this talus slope here. But there's a lot of pikas that's sitting here. Anyway, came back. As part of that, I had this idea before we even left to film my walks, because I like to go out in the mornings and walk. One of my favorite memories from, I went over to Europe and backpacked around for a couple months after college, and one of my favorite memories was changing cities. I'd get up early in the morning and I'd be walking around the city as the city woke up. It was just kind of me and the bread makers and the charcuterie places. I particularly remember a morning in Paris walking around. And I thought, well, maybe people on YouTube might find that entertaining. So the first one, I didn't even get around to doing it until halfway through in Edinburgh. And I wish I'd done more in, we were in Florence, Italy, near Split, Croatia, Zagreb. We did go back to Zagreb and I filmed a walk there in the summer. Bavaria, Austria, all these great places that would have been super cool to film and share on YouTube. Look at this awesome, amazing stream. But it didn't really take off, and I didn't really commit to it. Sort of a fun little side thing. But then YouTube, we came back in 2017, I think near the end of 2018, YouTube said you got to have 1,000 subscribers, and I had something like 800, and 4,000 hours of viewed content in the past 12 months in order to be monetized. And I thought, well, I should be monetized. So I did a drive and got kind of serious about being posting regularly, and made the 1,000 subscriber thing just in time. Maybe maybe a few days after. Oh, look at this icy bit of path. I'm gonna have to be a little bit tentative here. I've got my yak tracks on, but they're not crampons. You know, did one a week for a long time, then bumped it up to 2 a week. And then in 2019, we went over to Europe again for 3 months. Went to Scotland and Switzerland and Estonia. And I was able to do enough to get up to 3 a week, which I think is a good number. I'd love to get back to that once travel opens up again. And, you know, things kind of started taking off and rolling. You guys were subscribing and commenting. It was awesome. And then in the winter, we went to Slovakia and Budapest, and you know, stuff around Montana. And in the fall, I'd done a loop down through Colorado, of course, Utah as well. But then the pandemic hit, and I've had to slow things back down. But we are back in Livingston, Montana, where we've been since 2006, and consider that home. This year, with the pandemic and everything, the tumult of our world, hundreds and thousands of people have been moving out to Montana. The home prices, I've mentioned this a lot, but the median home price in Bozeman went from $430,000 to $620,000 in I think 9 months. It is insane, the real estate market out here. And as I think I mentioned, this trail is great. I don't think many people know about this, although somebody's been on it. But I don't see anybody today, and I just love these views. In any case, that's kind of where we are. We're hoping that the vaccine will fix the pandemic, or at least knock it back on its heels enough that travel opens up again and the economy opens up again. People can get back to work and get back to traveling. I think I hope, Tom, if you're watching, I hope this that sort of satisfies your curiosity. Thank you for your patience. But I mentioned this last time. I think one of the more surprising things about doing this channel, and one of the most rewarding things, has been the personal comments from people. I get the usual occasional troll and the occasional porn spam that I delete, but a lot of people have gotten a lot of value out of this year, and that just really motivates me, makes me feel good that I'm doing something positive for the world. And it really makes my day when I get those comments. So keep them coming. I appreciate it. And I love hearing the personal stories and personal connections people have to these places. And I like the feedback, negative if it's constructive, and positive if it's constructive. So thanks, you guys. What else? You can kind of hear the cars, but I barely notice them, partly because I'm talking. I've gotten a lot of comments recently, and I know it's kind of the squeaky wheel gets the grease, but about people asking me to, or in one case telling me to not just hold the camera straight ahead, but to look off to the sides. And it's a little bit of a conundrum, because a year or two ago I had a lot of people telling me they didn't like that. And so, you know, I'm trying to make as many people happy as I can with these. That's one of the points. And so I'm going to try and remember to show a little more detail about my surroundings as I go. I think subscribers, we have 21,700 something today. So that is, that's kind of blowing my mind a little bit. And I've built a community with you guys, but also with other walking channels who I comment and watch their videos regularly. Just nice people out filming and having fun building their YouTube channels. Pardon my sniffles. That was one of the first comments I ever got. In Edinburgh, I was sniffling a lot, and I can see how that would be annoying. I think I mentioned that I'm going to be doing more nature trail virtual hikes just because I'm kind of out of Montana cities that are close, and I'd like to do a loop around to North Dakota and South Dakota and Wyoming, or Eastern Washington and Eastern Oregon. But two reasons. One, the recent surge has me thinking that might not be the most responsible thing to do. And well, here, this is interesting. So there's a lot of rock climbing out here, and this looks like it's a spur trail to climbing access. So we're going to keep on straight because I'm not into rock climbing. Anyway, the other thing is the places I can get to fairly easily without driving several days is they can be a little rough and rugged in winter. And so I don't really want to be walking around Fargo, North Dakota, or some of these other places in the middle of a winter windstorm, or stuck somewhere during a blizzard. At least not yet. I would like to get out there and do some filming in some different regions, though. That would be awesome. So I guess that's a way of getting around to asking you guys for suggestions and requests. I can't always fly across the world to some remote region or awesome city, especially now, but I will keep them in mind. I had somebody request the other day that if I film in, I think it was Billings and possibly Great Falls, to film some more residential areas, which I can totally do. I'd be happy to do that. They're a little blustery and cold this time of year as well, being kind of out in the open. But we'll see. And I think I might be doing going and retracing some walks from this summer just to show the difference. One of the ones I was thinking was I did Red Lodge this summer, and I think it would be fun to do a couple walks over there, showing it in winter, and maybe some of the trails in that area. It's a beautiful part of Montana, right up against the northern edge of I think it's the Beartooth, not the Absarokas, but I'm not quite sure. My son, who's super into mountain ranges right now, would know all those details for sure. Headed back down to the river here. I hope you guys are hanging in there. I know the UK has got a big lockdown. There are surges in other European countries. A couple of Asian countries are seeing a surge, although they've handled this thing, for the most part, they've handled it pretty well, I think, from what I understand. So hang in there, guys. Stay safe. Reach out to keep connected with each other. It's a big thing now. And we'll all do the best we can to make 2021 an awesome year, a comeback year. The other thing is this trail is not through private land. It's on public land. Excuse me, I'm going to unzip a little bit. It's getting warm out of the wind. And it's a huge bonus to have this kind of thing. There's been a movement out west in recent years to sell off public lands to private industries. I couldn't disagree with that more. This is where people hunt, it's where they fish, it's where they hike, they take their families, get their kids out in nature. And if it's all owned by corporations and billionaires, then the rest of us suffer. This is a huge birthright. My wife got me, Traveling Mel got me The Big Burn, a book about Teddy Roosevelt and this big massive forest fire and kind of the early days of the Forest Service. And one of the things I read recently was when he and Pinchot got together, one of the things they did, I think I have this correct, but they talked about public ownership of lands and sort of had this idea of, you own almost like a share in a corporation or a stock, you own a share of these public lands. They're for the benefit of all of us. And sometimes that means sharing, obviously, shared use, and sometimes it means harvesting or extracting, but it also means that it belongs to all of us, not just the few, not just the elite. So that's my big spiel on preserving and defending and protecting public lands and public access. This is a really nice trail. The wind's kicking up again through this area. The weather in this canyon, in all of these canyons and mountain ranges, is a little interesting because the temperature differentials create these winds and they trap clouds and they create these little microclimates which are super interesting to me. Hopefully my audio recorder, I love this Zoom H1N that I'm using, but I don't have on several occasions I've hit the record button to start and then accidentally hit it to stop it, which I did on the M Trail. So I had to use the GoPro audio, which is fine if it's not windy, but it was a little windy as it is today, and it was not ideal. But hopefully I've got it right today. Need to come up with a better solution there. You can see how when the water comes up, this would be an amazing place to kayak and have whitewater raft trips and stuff. A lot of fun. And there's, we're only 30 minutes from Bozeman, and there's plenty of hotels and restaurants there. Of course, there's hotels and vacation rentals and restaurants up at Big Sky. In the summer, there's dude ranches, guest ranches, down the canyon further. So lots of services, lots of pullouts along the road to stop and access the river or take pictures or fish. See a hawk or a raven or two way up there. Whoops, sorry about that. I think we'll do a secret word now, and the secret word will be public access. Public access is the secret word. So put that down in the comments and I'll give you a shout out either on the video or on a future video or in the community tab. I need to publish a couple photos and tidbits on the community tab again. I was doing that for a little bit. Well, I did it a few times. I often wonder what this valley would be like if this wasn't a highway over here, but just a dirt forest road. Of course, Big Sky probably wouldn't be there. West Yellowstone would be smaller, but it would be so beautiful to have less traffic down here. I love the mosses and the lichens on these rocks. So much color. I think I'm gonna move the microphone real quick, if I can. Got a bit of a, there we go. Sorry about that. Cut down a little bit on the noise. There we go. That should be better. Pardon me. With the wind at my back and the sun at my back, it's really kind of pleasant. I'm not even wearing gloves this morning. One of the things I'd hoped to do, but kind of ran out of time because of family obligations, was to do kind of a summary of all the videos I did this year. We didn't travel a lot, but we did travel a little bit. Went to some really cool places. Some really good virtual treadmill scenery. Just worked that keyword right in there. You know, here's something you guys could help me with a little bit, in addition to subscribing and commenting and all that fun stuff, is let me know what entices you to click on one of these videos when you see the thumbnail and the title. What are you looking for? That would be helpful. When I was driving up the highway, I was looking over here trying to pick out this trail, and I saw footsteps down along the water, but not up here. And I was like, oh man, I don't know if I can pick my way along those boulders. But this trail has been really nice, especially I think this section. The snow actually helps it, fills in some of the gaps in the rocks. Oops. Ugh. This is a little tricky. There we go. Hopefully that's not too much wind. Seems to have switched directions a little bit. Sorry for the vertical movement. I'm using a GoPro 8 with a Scotty Makes vertical axis stabilizer plugged into a little USB battery. But the GoPro 8, and I haven't used the GoPro 9, which is apparently even better, but the stabilization on this thing is amazing. It's like magic. It's just fantastic. The only thing it doesn't do that I've had issues with is it's keeping it level. With such a little camera, it's easy to alter the roll axis significantly. Look at this. Give you a view upstream real quick. Look at that. Might be a good thumbnail. Alrighty. Dodge some branches there. Alright. This is a great little trail. Loving it. Oh, I can't wait to be able to travel again. There's so many great trails in the Pacific Northwest that I'd like to hike, do virtual hikes there, and places in northwest Montana, and of course the other places I mentioned out in the plains. This is interesting. Where to go? Guess just step down here. I'm glad somebody else has been here before me, because there's no way I would have found this trail on my own. Who knows, maybe I'm not even following the trail. This must be down where I saw the footprints along the river. They seem to lead down that way. See if I can make my way down there. Oh yeah, kind of two paths diverged in a wood kind of thing. I'm gonna go down here real quick and I'll come back to the trail just to get down here. Hopefully I won't fall in. Done it before. Look at this canyon, isn't that amazing? See the ice forming along the edges across the way there. I think that I need to duck back here. Go this way to find the trail again. I see it, I see it. There are all kinds of wildlife in this valley and the surrounding mountains, including bears. And most of them should be hibernating right now, but I'm not too worried about them coming down here because of all the traffic. But they have elk and moose, and even bighorn sheep in places. You'll see them along the side of the road. Sometimes they get hit, unfortunately. And all kinds of birds, water dippers or American dippers or water ouzels, and grouse, and eagles, hawks, ravens, all good stuff. And I don't know about these particular talus slopes, but they have this little rodent called a pika, and they sort of collect grass all summer and then live in the crevices in the winter. And they'll come out and yell at you during the summer. Sound like a groundhog, or not a groundhog, a prairie dog almost. Anyway. See if I can squeeze through here. See some handprints. I'm not the only one that had to use 3 points of contact there. Clouds are coming in. This little rapid here is pretty nice. And down there, it doesn't look like a big river, and I guess it's probably not a big river, but it's pretty powerful, especially there's a fair amount of drop, and so it's not something you really want to wade across unless you have a stick and some really sure footing. You could probably get across it there, and especially this time of year when it's so cold. It's interesting how quickly that sound dies when my shoulder blocks off the mic from it. Looks like maybe the trail goes up there. I think that I'm going to call this a walk. We're around 45 minutes. I'm going to go down here by the river, take you down here. See this last little rapid. See some ice down here. It's kind of cool. And here's the helicopter. And look at the view back upstream and screen, I guess. Thank you guys for joining me. Leave us a comment, click that like button, subscribe, click the bell to get notified. Share with your friends if you haven't yet. But most of all, come back next time. Until then, keep on stepping.